you guys, we're back, and I hope you liked my little title right there. I feel like if you are a fan of classic rock, or if you watched the movie Cars, you would get it. I thought it was pretty punny and funny. So today I'm going to be drawing, like you saw in the photo, a picture of a highway. I think it's really picturesque. I actually took this photo on a vacation I took, and I really love it. So let's get started. So you saw me first use a ruler. I want to tell you that it is okay to use a ruler for straight edges. Even the best of us that have gone to art school for 4 years cannot draw a straight line or a perfect circle to save our lives. So it's okay. Do what you need to create a beautiful image. So I started off with some pencil, even though I really love drawing with pen, but sometimes pencil is a must, and be aware that you will need to use it sometimes. And I messed up on that one, so I threw it away. I totally forgot I put that even in there. So anyway, here I am, getting it all over with again, setting myself up. Now what you can do is you can create a border for yourself using tape. Before you put the tape down on the paper, make sure you kind of press it onto your pants or the rug a little bit just to get rid of the stickiness, so that when you pull it up, it's not as sticky and you don't tear your paper. When I did pull this tape up at the end of the video, I did pull off some of the paper. It wasn't too bad though, but I think it also all depends on the type of tape that you're using. I'm just using regular masking tape. I've been told that painter's tape in particular is much better to use. So next time when I'm done with this tape, I'll get some new ones. So I'm using my pencil like I said before, and sometimes, even though I don't like using pencil when I draw, I really love pen and ink. I'll use pencil because it's needed. Like, you gotta plan out your drawing with something that you can use to erase mistakes and stuff like that you don't want in there. And yeah, sometimes it's just a necessary evil, and I just do it. So, and right here I'm just like adjusting it. So that's the best part about the tape. I can just adjust it, because when I'm drawing, at least this is the problem that I have, I sometimes will draw something and be like, oh my gosh, like what I just drew is not exactly how it is in the photo. Like I have too much space, or I have too little space, so I can move the tape to create the space and shape that I need. And here I'm just planning out my drawing. So I'm using the pencil, I'm planning out my drawing. I'm drawing the clouds right now, and they're pretty wispy. Like, clouds are they don't really have one basic shape. There might be, the basic shape of a cloud, like a cartoon cloud, but like a real cloud, they can come in every shape and size. So here I am trying to draw out the lines on the road. Now, when you are drawing something in the front of your picture, that means the foreground, you want to draw it bigger. In the middle ground, you want to draw it a little bit smaller, and then of course in the background, depending on its size, you want it to be very small. Especially with these lines, I'm making them very small because they're really small. But you can still see the mountain that I have drawn in the back. Now, the mountains in general are huge, so he is still able to be visible, but he's still seen as far away because he's a little bit smaller, because he's in the distance. So here I am going in, I'm just going to draw my trees, and I love drawing trees, but I'm not really that confident with myself when I'm drawing like the full shape of a tree, so I'll try to get the shape down, and honestly, sometimes I just hope for the best. All you can do is continuously practice to get better at drawing. So I'm drawing the guardrail right now, and putting a little bit extra oomph to my trees with my pen. I love that pen. This one I'm using is sepia, and I love this pen. I love the sepia ink. It's just lovely. I like the brown color. It makes me think of like old paintings and old drawings and stuff. And honestly, I think those 3 trees right there that I'm drawing, I think they came out pretty okay. For somebody that's not as confident in drawing full trees, they came out pretty good. They also kind of remind me of ice cream, and I love ice cream. So I'm going to go into each tree. I'm going to give a little bit of line here and there just to create some movement and some shadowing, and just to show that, you know, they are a full tree. I don't know if a lot of other people do this, but I do it. I plan out my shadows, especially with the mountains. It was easier to do it with the mountains because they're so huge. So the clouds that are passing through across the sky and covering the sun are creating shadows in the back on the mountains. So in my pencil, I drew a line to create that spot where the shadow is. Now when I go back in, I'm going to do some shading and stuff, and I'm going to erase that whole shadow line because pencil is erasable, but just so everyone knows, especially for my little artists out there, pen is not erasable. And you can buy pens that are erasable, but they're not really that great for drawing, I don't think. I've used them for drawing and I just don't like them as much. So here I am going in and inking up the shape of my mountains. They are beautiful. I love mountains. And then I'm going to gently add that line right there where the road is. Now, I have a really hard time keeping my hands still. There are artists out there that are really good at that. They've got like the stillest hands ever. They could be like surgeons, but not me, friends. I just get real nervous when I'm drawing a very straight, careful line, so I have to be very careful. So I sped up this video, so obviously it looks like I'm doing it really fast, but really when I was drawing that line, I was so slow because I was so nervous about it. Now, because I sped it up, it looks like I'm just, you know, really going through this thing super fast. But actually, like right now, I'm pausing because I'm thinking about things. Thinking about what I'm going to do next. Or maybe I was taking a drink of water because you get thirsty when you draw, guys. But either way, like, drawing takes time. And you just have to make sure that you have patience for yourself because it is something that you don't want to beat yourself up over. Like, your drawing is yours. It's not about anybody else. It's not about, you know, what other people will like. When you are drawing for yourself, it is for yourself. And the most important thing is that you like your drawing. So I could draw like the greatest picture in the world and everyone could like it, but if I don't truly love it and enjoy the process of making it and enjoy the product, then, I mean, what's the purpose of art when you can't enjoy what you make? So, I don't know, that was my little spiel right there about life. But anyway, here I am drawing shadows. So, sometimes I just don't really know what I'm going to do with my shadowing. Like, maybe I'll do a little bit of lines. Maybe I'll do some things like cross-hatching, which is when you draw lines over top of each other. Or maybe I'm just going to just color it in. But sometimes I go to this, like, way of shadowing where it's like I just make figure eights or S's all over the place. And I don't know why, but I really like that. I think I just like the movement of my hand when I do that. It just makes it so like busy. And some people could probably think, wow, that looks terrible, but I don't care. I mean, I really enjoyed it and I love doing that. And when you shadow, you want to make sure the things that are in front of your shadowed object, for example, my mountain right there, I'm shadowing that. I had to go back in and add a little bit more ink around the lining of my trees, just so they can pop out a little bit more. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start doing the shadowing in the mountain in the back. And like I said, I just really like doing that S shape and the figure eight shape. So I just keep going with it. And I kind of like, I like to overlap the shading shapes, I guess, that I'm using, just to create a little bit more denser of a shadow in places. And where I want it to be a little bit lighter, I'll use less S shapes. I like the movement of it, and I love those lines. It just makes me feel like there's movement in the mountain, like the trees flowing in the wind, that sort of thing. So, I don't know. Just think about that when you're drawing. Like, sometimes, we just draw things that we just see that are still, but sometimes those things move a lot. Like, on a mountain, there's like tons of life there. There's animals, trees, birds, uh, bugs, like all this stuff is happening. Wind, people hiking. Like, there's a whole life that happens there. So, when you're drawing, like, maybe try to incorporate some of that in there. Incorporate some of that life into your drawing. Okay, so now I'm at a part where I'm going to try and draw a tiny little car in the distance. This is another drawing aspect that I am not very confident in, which means that I will need to practice more and make the time to become confident in it. So I'm not very good at drawing cars, and also I don't really draw cars very often anyway, so I don't get a lot of practice in. When that happens, that's okay. You just need to make time to draw it. Like, maybe, practice a little bit before you make your final product. And as always, practice makes perfect is the quote that everyone uses. And it is true. Practice does make perfect. So here I am, and I'm just making like little, odds and ends, like little touches here and there. And I'm getting closer towards the end of my drawing. So I just want to make sure that I've got those little odds and ends in there, and now I'm going to go into the clouds. So with clouds, like I said, they don't have a specific shape unless you're drawing a cartoon cloud. However, in this one I'm trying to go as much to the photo that you saw earlier as I can. So I'm just making these wonky shaped clouds that I hope are as similar as the ones before. And when you're drawing, you can never truly get something completely perfect or completely exactly the way that it looks like in the photo or how you see it. It's just not going to be that way, and that's okay. Not everything needs to be perfect. Not every drawing needs to be realistic and to the T. Sometimes you can just make a drawing and just wing it when you get to a point where you just don't know how you're going to draw this. Just go with the flow. And that's what I did. So now that I've finished basically the entire drawing, my last thing is that I'm going to erase all the pencil marks just to clean up my drawing a little bit. Now, when you do this, definitely use a good eraser. You do not want to use a cheap eraser that leaves marks all over your paper. It's just not fun, and nobody likes eraser marks. They just look terrible. So make sure that you invest in a very good eraser. The one that I'm using, I actually don't know the brand name for it because it's basically all like rubbed off because I used it for so long. But I think it's I think it might be the White Pearl eraser. I don't know. It might be something like that. But it's a good eraser. It does the job. And erasers aren't really that expensive anyway, so you could find a really good eraser pretty cheaply, probably at the dollar store or on Amazon. So I'm just making sure that I'm erasing all my things, brushing all of that extra eraser nonsense off. And then I am going to go back in and I am going to touch up some things because, your lines look dark because you have both pencil drawing and ink pen on top. Now once you erase the pencil part, it's going to look lighter. So I'm just going to go back in and I'm going to just touch everything up, make it look a little bit darker, a little bit more you know, everything's there and can be seen that I want seen. And now this is the end of my drawing video. I want to stress that it's so important to sign your work. An artist always signs their work, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Today's magical artist of the week is Mary Ann Carroll. Mary Ann Carroll was a very special artist because she would go door to door selling her work. Now, some of the kids out there watching are probably wondering what that means. Well, door to door meant that she would go to each house in a neighborhood asking if anyone wanted to buy her paintings. Mary Ann lived in Florida, and during her time, it was really hard for her to find someone to help sell her work because there were people who didn't like that her beautiful dark skin was different from theirs. Mary Ann did not give up on selling her art. Even when mean people would try and stop her, Mary Ann was a part of a group of black artists that would sell the art out of the trunk of their car or door to door like Mary Ann. This amazing group of artists eventually became known as the Highwaymen in Florida. Because they were always on the go selling their artwork, Mary Ann Carroll was the only woman in the original group, and she was named the First Lady of the Highwaymen. Now, I love Mary Ann Carroll for many reasons. One, because she really strived to overcome a lot of hardships in her life, you know. My favorite painting is the one right here. The sky is just beautiful, and I love the way Carol uses light. Like, the way she paints light is so magical and bright and vibrant, and I just love that. All of her work, I just really love what she does with the landscape. And like I said, guys, this is just, this is what was around her. Like, she lived in Florida. They have a lot of like really awesome tropical plants. It was great material for her to paint. And she did an amazing job. And I love her trees. Like this tree, for example, just like pops out and it's red and it's bright. Ugh, I just love it. I love the way she does all the things in here. And I know I didn't go into a lot of her life because I have a lot of kids that listen, and so I have to be careful on how do I explain things because you have to do it simply. So if you guys have any more questions, please, I encourage you to do your own research, and if you're a little artist, make sure you do your own research with a parent or an adult because they can help you understand things a little bit better. Thanks for watching, guys, and have a magical week.